All right, perfect. So thank you everyone for coming. Excited to be trying to put more value trainings in. Sorry, I'm getting messages from agents. So hey, Heather, could you forward over to Sarah the link for the training? Sorry, guys.
Sorry, I'm on mute. I said yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I saw you mouth it. Okay. I've been trying to put in different things that are going to be useful for you guys to hopefully up your businesses, because as per our survey, a lot of you want to increase your businesses this year. So I'm super excited for that. So I had put out a call for, experts, because I'm not an expert in a lot of things. So Kelly had answered my call and we've talked, and she said a lot of things I didn't understand, so that makes her an expert in my opinion. And so she's going to go over some email marketing with us. And so I believe she has a presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A afterwards if anybody has any questions. So yeah, I'll let you take it over from here, Kelly.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I am Kelly Harris, and what I am is essentially a sales page and email conversion specialist. So what I do, and we'll talk about it also in the presentation, is I help people build relationships through email, through the written word, so that when they have an ask like, hey, I have this great trip you should go on, that people are going to be like, yes, I want to go on that. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get going. And if you guys have questions, absolutely, we can, stop the presentation. If I start talking too fast, let me know. I have 4 children, so sometimes I have to talk fast to get it in there. It just is what it is at the moment. So let's see, sharing the screen. Ah, lovely. All right, can you guys see this? Yes. No.
It says you've shared screen, but it's not showing me anything.
Interesting. It says resume share. Why is it paused? Interesting. All right, we'll unshare it and reshare it. Whatever. We're learning new things, or Zoom has updated and is not a happy camper. Try that.
There you go. Now we can
Okay,
see.
it's like, I want to be able to see it.
You're good.
All right. Nope, let's present, not share. All right, that'll go full screen. Let me make sure I can pull up chat so we can see that too. Maybe. So many buttons. All right, Bree, if you will watch chat, that would be super helpful. I can't see it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll watch the chat and interrupt you.
So today we're going to talk about all things email. That's why I named this All Things Email. Email is my very favorite thing. So we're going to start with the myths of email marketing, talk briefly about dream clients, talk briefly about lead magnets, and then I'm going to teach you what to put into your emails for your clients so that you can start getting emails that actually convert. Gonna be moving this around a lot. All good. So the things we're going to talk about, myths of email marketing. Let's bust through those false beliefs because you're going to run up against them. And what's really interesting is that gives us a baseline so that we're all on the same page so that we know what we know about emails and can move forward. We're going to talk a little bit about dream clients and your market research. The reason is we need to know what words they're using, how they're talking about their pain points, how they're talking about their problems, how they're talking about how you solve them or how they think they want them solved. And then we're going to talk about all things lead magnets. A lead magnet, you probably already know, but it's just, I'm exchanging something of value for your best email. So it's just an exchange. And then I'm going to teach you my write framework, which is how we write copy that converts. Now we're going to put all of those things together. The first 2 emails we're going to talk about, because once you have your lead magnet, you need to have a way to get it to people. So the first 2 emails are very, very important. And then as we move more into the emails, we're going to talk about plot or plots, which is my other framework for how we write those emails, the things we need to remember and include and be mindful of. And then we're going to talk about writing your welcome sequence, how you want to set it up, things you want to include, as including, subject lines. What are we thinking, and when do we need to send these out, and all that stuff. So a little bit about me. I'm Kelly. I'm an email and funnel conversion specialist. Essentially, I help build relationships with people. I'm a mom to 4 beautiful babies. My oldest will be 14 in May. My youngest is 4 months old. So we run the gambit and we have 2 fur babies. We've got 2 dogs. Again, I knew there was a slide. I couldn't find it. I'm married to an amazing husband who doesn't understand anything about the world that I work in. And he's like, I don't, okay, like, love you, you do you. And that's kind of where we live. So the picture all the way on the left is my wedding picture. My husband and I met at a theater, and we are theater kids. And then for a long time, we worked at a Renaissance festival where he was the king's page and I was Catherine Lyric, the town poet. And so when we finally got married, we got married there and actually got married in the pub because the church was too small and we knew everybody. The next picture to it is the most recent picture of our family. And that was when we took my 11-year-old, who's the one all the way on the right, we took him to Great Wolf Lodge for his birthday because I wanted to give him his wizard letter and fly out to Orlando, and timing just didn't quite work in January. So we just had to kind of improvise. The picture next to that of the young man in his suit is my oldest. That is Derek Scott Danger. And yes, Danger is his middle name. But when I started my business, he was like, cool. He was 8. He started wearing suits to school and said, if mom can do it, I can do it. I'm going to be a business owner. And last summer, he started his own business and now has a lawn care business and is expanding possibly more into social media and whatnot. We'll see where that kind of takes us. And then just the picture on the far right is of the 4 of us when I found out that I was pregnant. We were adding one more to this crazy mix that we call life. So that is a little bit about me. My mission is to empower coaches, course creators, entrepreneurs to harness the compelling power of stories. There's a lot of messaging, a lot of marketing in the world right now, and the way you're going to connect with people is through storytelling, because that is how humans connect. We connect through real, genuine relationships, and stories can do so much more than we can do. And it makes you memorable, super fast. So let's talk about the myths of email marketing. There are 6 of them that I like to go through, and I will probably stop periodically and be like, so what do you think? That's your opportunity to talk. Do not make me talk to myself for an hour. I can do it, but it's not my favorite thing. So, myths of email marketing. Myth number 1 is that email is dead. It's not dead. Every single person has it on their phone. I consider it sacred space because they have it next to pictures of their loved ones. And so when you're sending out an email, be mindful. We're going to be authentic. We're going to have integrity with our emails. 89% of entrepreneurs, they use email to generate new ideas and new leads. Even corporate is sending out these emails because emails are not going away. A lot of people thought that they were going to go away. And what we have found is that this is actually your single most profitable source of marketing out to your people, as long as you're doing it correctly. So 29% of marketers rate email as their most effective marketing channel. The reason they do, doesn't say it, so we'll have to come back. The reason they do is because, and it'll come up again, there's a huge return on your investment if you're doing it correctly. It is a long game, but for every dollar that you spend, the most recent current said for every dollar that you spend, you should be seeing $36 return on your investment. So it can be very, very profitable if you do it correctly. Email number 2, if I send more emails, people are on my list are going to unsubscribe, and that is so bad. I hate it. I don't want people to unsubscribe. We make unsubscribes about us. We feel bad because people hate us. They left us. It's horrible. It's not. Unsubscribes are not bad. It just means that it's not the right time for them to be on your list. They might come back to your list later. They may unsubscribe because they have 64,000 emails in their email box and they're feeling a bit overwhelmed. That would be one of my emails, the one I've had forever. So they may just unsubscribe because now's not the right time. But the average unsubscribe rate in 2020 was less than 0.1%. And as your email list grows, you want people to unsubscribe. You want them to identify that now's not the right time and get off your list, because there is a point where your email list can become very expensive because you start paying for how many people you're sending out to. And if you're sending out to 500 people and 100 of them are just hanging out and your emails are dumping into their email box, you're not necessarily making the connections that you need to be making. And so you're just paying to have them on your list at that point. So far, like I said, we've talked about emails aren't dead and unsubscribes are not bad. Do you guys have any thoughts on either of those two before we move on? Like I said, I try not to go super fast, but
I hate unsubscribe, so I'm glad you said that because I get very sad. I do take it personally.
I do. I mean, and I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and I'm still like, you left me. And especially it's worse if I know the person, because the last person that unsubscribed, I was like, oh, why did I do? Like, I'm so sad. And then I found out later, like, she quit her business. So the very first thing she did when she rolled our business up was she went in and unsubscribed to all the emails so they wouldn't bounce. And but at first I was like, Hannah, I thought we were friends. But yeah, so you can, like, you do, you feel like it's a personal, not really attack, but like it says something about you. And it doesn't. Like, we make this, we're overthinking that big time. So the next myth is that it is too time consuming and not worth it to focus on email marketing. Of course, I'd start to lose my voice when I'm going to talk for an hour. It's fine. It's not. It doesn't have to be. A lot of people get in our own heads. We start thinking about, oh my gosh, I need to send an email out every single week, and I should have tips, and I should have a newsletter. Oh my gosh, we need to do all these things. You're making it way harder than it needs to be. And like I said, this is an old data, because the most recent says $36 return on your investment for every dollar that you spend on this type of marketing. Subject lines. Subject lines are a point of contention. That's a myth number 4. Some people believe that if it's really short, people will open it. It's fairly common that they say your email line should contain no more than 35 characters. That includes spaces, that includes everything. While it is helpful, there was a study done in 2021 by a company called Return Path, and they looked at 10 million emails across 3,000 realtors, that some were corporate, some were not corporate. They just kind of looked at all the data, and they found absolutely no correlation to super short lines. The correlation that they did find was when you try to use clickbait to get people to open, that creates some problems. When your subject line is not in alignment with what's actually in the body of the email, that creates some problems. But as far as like the actual length of the subject line, had no correlation to whether or not people would actually open it. Myth number 5, it is not important for my messaging and my emails and my sales pages and my social media and everything else to match. I can just throw spaghetti at a wall, and what sticks, and we are good to go. That is not true, guys. Don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. We want to have some consistent messaging, because with consistent messaging, you don't know if people are looking at your stuff on social media. Are they going to an offer that you have that you're pushing them towards? Are they looking on your email? And if you're sending different messaging out across those different things, you're creating an inconsistency with your own business that makes people go, I'm not sure she knows what she's talking about, because here in social media, she's talking about X, and here in her email, she's talking about Y, and they have nothing to do with each other. So we're not sure what's going on. We have to have that consistent messaging across platforms, because at the end of the day, one of the differentiating factors, part of your secret sauce, is creating a customer experience. And we do that from the moment that they touch base with us. So any touch point. So that could be social media. That could be them seeing a picture of you on a billboard. That could be an email. That could be them looking at an offer that you're putting out. All of those, that's where that customer experience begins. And you have to be kind of mindful of that as you're moving forward. And then the last myth that we're going to talk about today is some people believe that there's a perfect day and a perfect hour and a perfect minute that you should send your emails to be free and that everyone will open them. And there are some logistics, but there is no one perfect time. So as you start to send it out, especially if you do it in like ConvertKit or Active Campaign, that those CRMs will actually collect the data and say, we're noticing that most of your people are opening your emails on a Wednesday at noon when they're having their lunch hour. So maybe a little bit before noon is a great time for you to send that email because that's what your people are responding to. So it is very much an industry specific thing. It is also very much, it also doesn't necessarily matter at the end of the day. When I send my emails out, I send it out at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, and it really, this is kind of bad, Kelly, because I should be doing what my audience needs. It's really so Kelly doesn't forget. Like, this is really like on the calendar. This has to happen, and that's why it goes out. And people throughout the week will like trickle in on the open rates and the sales and things, because I haven't found a perfect time for my people. Right now, they know that it goes out and that they open it when it's convenient for them. So those are the 6 myths. I'm curious what myth kind of jumped out at you, if there was one that jumped out at you.
I'd like the unsubscribe one. It didn't jump out at me, but I think it is important to remember that not everybody's our people, right? So if they
Right.
unsubscribe, it's just not,
Right.
we're not a
It's
good
just not
match.
in alignment right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. Thank you so much for being brave and like jumping out there and putting it on a recording. All right, let's talk a little bit about your dream clients. You guys already know who your dream clients are. So let's talk a little bit about your dream clients in terms of what you want to do with your email. Who do you want to be on your email list? If you're doing travel agents, there could be specific, you could go after the retirees or you could go after the families. Who are you targeting specifically within your dream clients? Who do you want on the list? You can also have multiple lists if you really wanted, where you could segment out and send certain things to certain people based on their demographics, based on what they're telling you that they want. What characteristics are there of your dream clients? Like, the sky's the limit. You have to understand this target audience like they're your absolute best friend. Because when you go to write an email, you're going to pick someone that you know personally, and then you're going to write your emails like you're writing to them. That's your ideal, perfect ideal person. And then you can go back and change the like, hey, name, so that it'll personalize it. But you have to know, because you have to be able to connect with them on that level to be able to really start to build that relationship and that connection. Also, what's the purpose of your list? Are you just informing people? Are you giving them tips and tricks? Are you ultimately trying to make a sale at the end of the day? Like, what are you going to do? Because I've had people, and I know people and have worked with people who their sole purpose for people on their list is to make a sale. And they will send out 7 to 8 emails a day on their massive, massive lists because they're trying to get conversions over and over again. And they don't care if people unsubscribe. They don't care if they're ideally wanting this one person and they're trying to get it to convert. So you have to know, what's this purpose look like and why? And then how are we going to use our list to build our know, like, and trust? How are we going to use our list to build that relationship? And ultimately, how are we going to use our list to promote our businesses? So brainstorming your business plan, you kind of need to know your core values. You need your core values, your beliefs. You need to know what your mission statement is. What's your vision? What's your 5-year plan? Because ultimately, and it's on another slide, but we're going to talk about it again. Ultimately, you need to know what that vision looks like, because we are going to reverse engineer, because we're going towards that North Star. And if we don't know what that North Star is, it's really hard to get there if you're throwing spaghetti at a wall and just assuming that, the emails will fix it, it'll be fine. And part of the reason I put this slide in here is, once you know, how can you highlight your values? How can you highlight your core beliefs and your tips that you're giving people, your offerings, the services, and ultimately the emails that you're putting out? How can you say, like, we're not just any travel agency. This is what makes us special. Here's our secret sauce. It's our core values. It's how we show up. It's our vision and the impact that we ultimately want to create, not just for us, but for our people. So a couple things to ask yourself. How can we show up with your branding using your core values? How in your marketing, in your social media, just being you, how are you showing up and highlighting who you truly are? Because that's how people are going to connect with you. And you and someone else could offer the exact same thing. And ultimately, they're going to be people who are in line with your values and who you are. And they're going to go with you. And they're going to be people who are better aligned for your friend who offers the exact same thing. So if you're still kind of struggling with this a little bit, make a list. Really think about if you could sell 100 packages to whoever it is, who are they? I can tell you that when I write to my best friend who is very much in the same place in her business as I am. And it works out really well because in some ways she's my ideal client. And I've actually had people come back to me and say, like, how did you know? It's like you were talking to me. Well, yeah, because I started listening. My market research is when I talk to people and they tell me what they're needing and they tell me what their problems are. And I just write those down. And then when I come back and I'm writing to people, whether it's a sales page or whatever it looks like, I take the words that they already gave me and I push it back out. And they're like, how did you know? Because you told me. You told me, you just didn't realize you were telling me. So a lot of this too is listening in terms of market research, listening and saying, hey, I'm interested. What do you really think you need? And even if, no, I really know your problem, how do you describe your problem? Because even if there's a disconnect, you start with where they are or where they think they are, and we work towards filling that gap. So what do they need from you? We're going to talk a little bit about lead magnets. What is one solution or problem that you could help your dream client with right now? That could be, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, but one thing that they could use that they can experience a quick win. The reason I say that, is it the top maybe? Whatever. The reason I say that is that's what we're going to make our lead magnet about if you don't already have your lead magnet. Is your lead magnet something that you guys already do and use?
We have a couple of, excuse me, we have a couple as the agency, but I think that the goal is because they're all ICs is for them really to do their own lead magnets and start working towards, their own audiences because everybody sells very differently and to very different audiences.
Right. So think about that audience is your dream client essentially. And so as we go in and we start to create our, I don't love that this is floating, whatever. As we start to create our lead magnet, it needs to be something valuable, something that people want. And when you're talking to people, you may start to see a theme where people say like, I wish I had, if my audience is moms with young kids, that mom is probably telling you, I wish I had a checklist of all the 1,000 things I need to take an infant on this trip with me. And something's going to fall through the cracks. Well, if you can create a checklist that says like, hey, things to remember to take for your 2-year-old or under, it becomes something very helpful for them. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you are trying to create something that's helpful, that they're going to give you their best email address for. So, and this is kind of the kicker too. What actionable steps can you put in this lead magnet so they can experience a quick win? The reason is if they can experience a quick win, ideally within 15 to 30 minutes, but even if it took a couple of hours or a day, the moment they experience that win, know, like, and trust is there, you are the expert and they want to work with you because they tried something you said and it worked. So this kind of comes back to our market research, brainstorming questions and ideas that you can talk to people about. Hey, would it be helpful if I got you a checklist for traveling? Hey, would it be helpful if you're going to Hawaii, what's the top 3 restaurants that are a little off the beaten path that, you might want? Because here's the other thing. You want people on your list because at the end of the day, your list is an asset to your business. You can sell your list if you ever close down your business, because it's not like social media. Anything you're putting out on social media belongs to the social media platforms, but your actual list, it belongs to you. It is proprietary to you. So that is something I hope is super helpful to know. And one of the reasons why I do recommend, if you're at a place where you're starting to sell one-to-many, definitely it's time to start having an email list and building those relationships with people. Okay, now we're into lead magnets. So the lead magnet, like we said, is just a free asset or resource that you offer your audience in exchange for their contact details. Here's the trick. When you set up the landing page, ask for their best email. Otherwise, you're going to end up with hotmama at hotmail.com that they never check. That is like their default. I want the freebie, but I don't want to be on your list. But for whatever reason, psychologically, if you ask for their best email, they're going to give it to you. And so then you are in the actual email box that you want to be in, and you are a step closer to really building that relationship. So what can be a lead magnet? Pretty much anything. I have seen quizzes be a lead magnet where they take a quiz and then based on the answers, they get segmented. And actually, I helped a client with this a year or so ago where we created it, and then her 3 different offers, your do-it-yourself, done with you, and done for you. It actually, once clients self-identified, they got put on that email list, and each email list was a little bit different in terms of what offers went out and what they were talking about and what we were essentially nurturing. It could be a free guide, a checklist. You could even do a mini course. I've seen people for their lead magnets say like, here's my mini training, and it's a 5-minute recording. Or maybe they have a 3-day, 10-minute little thing and they push it out in a series of emails. So it literally can be anything: webinar, audio recording, a training, a white paper. If you don't know what that is, it's just a really long blog. Giveaways, I've seen people do that. Podcasts, cheat sheets, case studies, free trials. We see this stuff all the time. And so just think in terms of, if you're creating this asset, this free resource, what's going to be something that is super beneficial to your people? And if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them.
This is interesting because I always just assumed a lead magnet's like a PDF. So I really appreciate the different ideas. And I love the idea of doing a quiz that separates them into different groups that then they get, just because we do tend to have such a variety of clients. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And the thing of it that I love about that is they've already self-identified. So you don't have to go in and like try to nurture them for them to say, oh no, I really want to do X, but really they're ready for the next level. Or maybe they think that they're ready for the concierge level. And when you give them a price, they're like, oh, no, thank you. Like, I'm really a do-it-yourselfer. Just kidding. So yeah, there's so many different things that you can do. Don't limit yourself. And a question that usually comes up is, can I have several lead magnets? The answer absolutely is yes. Maybe you're getting certain people from Instagram or LinkedIn, and maybe your lead magnets are a little bit different. Or, I lovingly tell people all the time, my lead magnets go through iterations where people will tell me what they want, and then I take messy action and I put it out there, and then I get some feedback, and they're like, tweak this, love that, don't love that, go take it back, make a few more tweaks, put out version 2. And it changes as you grow as a business owner and your business grows. A lead magnet that you needed a year ago may not be a lead magnet that is high performing now. Or, maybe your audience changes just a little bit and now they need something else. And that's okay. It's okay. And I think we kind of have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and constantly asking and looking for that next, like, what's the next right thing? What's the next thing I need to do for you as my people to really help you be successful? Because again, when they get that quick win, you are now automatically legitimized as the expert, and they want to know what you're going to give them next to help them with their next right step. So before we create, goodness gracious, before we create a lead magnet, You got to know who the dream client is. We're choosing one problem for the lead magnet. One problem. You only get to address one problem per lead magnet, just one. And it could be a topic that your audience wants to know more about. It could be the checklist like we talked about. We have to have those actionable steps because they have to be able to experience a quick win. Even if the quick win is, here's your packing list. Cool. I don't have to think about what I'm taking on this trip now. You've helped me make it super easy. And then the last thing as you create this, make it visually appealing because like it or not, at the end of the day, the words could be perfect, but I think copy and design go hand in hand because there's so much information out there. If it is ugly, people are not going to stay to read it. And if it is beautiful and has all fluff, then people are not going to stay to read it, or they're going to read it and then be mad that they wasted their time to read it. So things to kind of consider. So as we build our lead magnet, this is what I normally tell people as I'm building lead magnets with them. It's really easy. Don't overthink this. Like we said already, you can put things out and get feedback and bring them back and tweak them. But I always start with a Google Doc. Just write down your ideas. Write down what people are telling you. Put it all in one place so you're not flipping through a notebook or all the index cards and Post-it notes on your desk. Put it in one place so that when you're ready to build your lead magnet, it's easy to find. And then decide what information you're going to put in this lead magnet. It could be a one-page PDF, could be, any of the other things that we looked at and talked about. And then you're going to go into Canva or any other place that Adobe or whatever you want to use, and you're going to design the lead magnet, make it pretty. If you're doing a recording, go on, create some slides, go into Zoom, record it, put those pieces together. Because once we have those pieces, then we can create a quick little landing page for people to exchange their emails for. And then you go in the other side and we create the very minimum, the first 2 emails. Email number 1, which we'll talk about, is going to be to deliver the lead magnet. And email number 2 is going to be to say, hey, do you love it? If you don't love it, tell me why. Or is it on your desktop in the graveyard of freebies that, you're going to get to later, even though we both kind of know later is probably not going to happen. And you can make it fun. You don't have to make it super serious. People actually, if your ideal client or your audience likes fun, you can do that. Now, I will say if you're doing that, we want to keep it simple because if you try to be clever, it's always better to be clear over clever. Clever is good if everybody gets it, but clear is ultimately the goal that we're going for. And then we promote it by sharing it on our social media. We share it on our websites. We, keep it on our desktop in a Google Doc that you can quickly grab it and say, hey, you know what? Maybe now's not the right time for you to work with me, but I have this and I really think you maybe could use it. So I'd love to be able to give this to you and you to get on my list so that I can continue to talk with you. And when the right time comes, you'll be ready. Some things to think about with your lead magnet. You don't want information or action steps that you can Google, because then people feel like it's a little bit of a bait and switch that's a little bit untrustworthy when they're like, I just gave you my email and I could have Googled that. So why did I give you my email? You want to make it, you can take information from Google or from wherever, but put your spin on it. What do you think? What do you think is going to help your people, your audience, and why? If you tell them that, then you have kind of personalized the data. I recently was talking with a friend of mine who I said, I don't know, it seems like we can Google everything, that there is really no new information. And she said, no, the new information comes when we take information and we put our own spin on it and what we actually think. And then that's the information that we share based on our experiences and how we want to connect with other people. So you also need it to be super actionable. And when you automate it, the first email needs to go out in less than an hour, ideally within 15 to 30 minutes, because we are a world that likes our reruns and we are a world that wants it right now. Like, no, I want the thing now. I don't want to wait. I want it now. And if you can't give it to me now, then I'm not going to give you my email. So that's all things lead magnets. Do you guys have any thoughts on that or questions?
So I think that my struggle with lead magnets, Kelly, is just getting it into people's hands that they actually want it, right? So like we all have email lists that we already have based on like our current clients or like if we've done shows before, or, so like we already have sort of an email list going, but to get these new clients, these new potential clients, like getting the lead magnet in front of the right people.
No, 100%. And something I saw recently that was very successful was they actually did a giveaway. That was their lead magnet was actually a giveaway. And to get an opportunity to get whatever the thing was, they had to give her email list and their phone number, because she actually does not just email, but she also does like text that she periodically sends out. And she said by going and doing that and being like, hey, we're having this, she was able to get a lot of information from people very, very quickly. So I think she went to like a trade show, and within like 2 hours, she had 300 emails because people were interested. And a lot of times my personally, and what I tell my clients, I don't necessarily do discounts. I like to do upsells or things that are of no extra cost for me. So, sometimes that's my time that I'm giving them, instead of actually saying like, oh, I'll give you a discount off of my service. It could be like, oh, I'll give you a 15-minute call where we can start to think out what, your next steps are or what you want to do with your email. And so that might be something to consider, especially if you're wanting to do it very quickly, is to say like, oh, we just had Valentine's Day, but if Valentine's Day was coming up, well, we've got this Valentine's giveaway. It can includes, a Yeti cooler and some other things that you could take on your next vacation. If you're interested, we'd love to be able to talk to you. So we need that. And we need your email your email contacts and your connections, your contact. Because people like that stuff. They want to be involved. They want to feel like a winner. And at the end of the day, I think too, like they know they're getting on a list, but if you work on your list right, like the goal of your list should make people not feel like they're on a list, like that you're talking to just them. You want them to be excited because, oh my gosh, Kelly just sent me an email. I want to know what's in it. Not, oh man, another email from her list. Woo. So, I mean, I hope that's helpful, but that's my take on that. All right, so here are some examples just so to kind of get you thinking. Very first lead magnet I ever sent out was a 20-minute Canva presentation that I created. Then I did it on Zoom, and it was actionable tips to improve your email marketing and also to take messy action. Because what I have found is that a lot of people have ideas, but they get so caught up in like perfectionism and really, I need to know that it's perfect before I can put it out, that this really was actually, more than anything else, was created as a lead magnet, but it was stuff that I knew I needed to hear. So I created it for myself and thought, you know what? If I need to hear this, I'm sure there are other people that need this. And so it was, in a way, kind of me feeling out like, how does this going to work? How does this not going to work? And it was mildly successful, but it was something that I hadn't been seeing other people put out trainings and things on. And like you had said, I'd seen a bunch of PDFs, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. Another example, this was just a workbook that was essentially like, hey, here are the 7 steps with space for you to print it out, write it out, and create it all in one place so that you're creating an irresistible offer that you're going to put out to your ideal people. This what I did for a client. This literally was, like you said, a 1-page PDF. And it was, she had what she called wow boxes. And the idea being that she worked with people and they created boxes to send to their subscription base. This was like right before subscription boxes became a really big thing. And so her PDF literally was things that you might include in your subscription box when you create it. And so it was a super easy. We did it in her branding colors. And what's really interesting about this for her box challenge that she was running, we actually had people come back and be like, can we share this with other people? Can we get the link? Because I don't necessarily want to just give them the PDF, but we want to put them on your list because of the stuff that you're telling us. And we're really interested in it. And I think somebody that I know should be on your list. And she actually had people referring for the lead magnet, which was really, really interesting in my opinion. like we talked about, we need the quick win because it legitimizes you and it allows people to know that you are the expert and that you do know what you're talking about. Because one of the things that you have to think about is repeated exposure as the expert. You have to show up multiple times in your email as the expert. You have to show up on your social media, on your web pages, everywhere that you are, because just because you say you're the expert or people see you once and they experience a quick win and you're the expert, then that doesn't necessarily translate into sales. When they start to see you over and over again as the expert, you kind of get stuck in their brain. And then when people are like, oh, I need a travel agency agent. Oh, I'm going to go to Bree. Oh, I need an email person. That's Kelly. Like, that's just how our brains kind of work. And so you have to repeatedly show people that you are the expert, that you do know what you're talking about, and that you're there to serve them. Because at the end of the day, sales is service. So how do we create copy that actually converts people? One, I know a lot of people say, oh, here's get on a CRM, take their newsletter template, go. And I, as an email conversion specialist, actually do not recommend newsletters. And here's why. A rule of thumb with your emails is one email, one subject line. If you are having a newsletter, you're throwing like 5 things at them and telling them to pick the thing that they feel is the most important and to go. And people won't do that. If you don't tell people what to do, specifically, here's the one thing I want you to do, they will do nothing. And so when you have an email, they'll be like, oh, that's that newsletter. I'll look at it later. It's like the Target ad that I still get and I look at maybe once every like 3 months when I really want something. But I know it's there, but I never actually look at the newsletter. So how do we create copy that converts, that talks to people, that builds that relationship? This is kind of my overall process, and I tried to make it really easy for you guys. So how do we do it? How do we make any copy convert? Remember the word right, because that's what we're going to talk about. We start with the words. Words that connect, words that people actually want to hear, that are empowering. Words are good. The right words are better. So how do you get the right words? Like we talked about, you listen to what people are telling you. You talk to your dream client. You write down the things that you start to hear over and over again, or that you hear similarly. And I loved this quote by Mark Twain, so I had to put it in here. The difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. So if you have the right words, it's really going to build those connections. If you have almost the right words, people are going to be like, whatever. I'll look at that later. I promise I will. You know, they might, but it's going to be in a moment where they're like, I'm bored. Let me look at that. No, we want them excited to open our emails, and to feel empowered by our emails. So that's W, words that connect. R, I've been talking about it forever. Relationships. Relationships through those words. The average person sees around 10,000 ads daily between TV and your computer and YouTube and your phone and the billboards as you drive by. We're seeing messages constantly thrown at us, and it's only going to get worse. So how do you stand out? Because building real relationships takes time, but at the end of the day, that's how you stand out, is you become the person that is known. And it took me forever to figure this out, because people would say, like, figure out what your secret sauce is of your business. You should use your secret sauce. Your secret sauce is you. It's you and how you talk to people and how you take time for people. And it comes back to your values and all of those things and what your mission is and what your vision is. And at the end of the day, research says, and this is kind of old, research actually says that a person has to see your picture 7 times to be able to start to recognize you. And just your brain will actually say, oh, I see that person everywhere. I guess they're legit. And then when they start to interact with you, to actually buy from you, used to be 7 times. They've called it the rule of 7. They still call it the rule of 7, except for it takes around 21 interactions for them to buy from you. So unless you got an email list or you're just pumping out social media every day, which is still hit or miss based on the algorithms, it's going to take a little bit of time. Then how we build relationships with people with our words is we listen to them. What are they saying? How are they talking about things? Then we talk about things the way they're talking about things. And then when they say, you're in my head, how did you do that? Well, it's because you're telling me. And then I'm telling you my spin on what you're telling me. So the first time I heard 10,000 ads, I thought, oh my goodness, do I really see that many? And they're saying now that it's actually going up every day based on our technology. So I'm just kind of at a point right now, stopping here, like we've only done words and relationships, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this so far. I can keep going. It's okay.
Somebody else needs to talk.
I know.
Just-
I'm like, I need to take a drink. That's okay. You could put it in the comments too. It really is okay, guys. I promise. I don't bite, especially from afar. All right. So we've got the words that connect. We're building the relationships. See, yay. We're building the relationships. Now we need to be intentional. Like we talked about the purpose of our email list. We got to be intentional with the words we're using too. Intentional with the words and intentional that not every single email we put out is for an ask for buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. I feel like the genie from Aladdin. Like, what do you need? Buy the thing, buy the thing. We don't want to do that. That scares people. Don't be that person. But what you do want to do is give them tips, give them actionable value. And some people will tell you, oh no, value is not good. But if you're talking to a person like you're talking to your best friend, write your emails the same way. Like you're talking to your best friend. You wouldn't say like, every time you talk to your best friend, you should buy this thing, unless you really truly believe in it. And even then, if every time you see your best friend, you're like, go buy the Stanley Cup. Did you buy the Stanley Cup? You should buy the Stanley Cup. No, that turns people away. They don't like that. So you have to begin with the end in mind for intentional. And then we're reverse engineering how we're going to get back to that. We don't necessarily need to send 5 emails and then ask them or share our newest offer or whatever with them. But if you know that my job is to create impact and to help you get on a trip of a lifetime, that's my goal, I'm going to work toward that goal. It's kind of like we talked about with the vision. It's our North Star. You don't get in your car to go to a trip and just start driving. It doesn't work. It's bad. Okay. Even with Google, sometimes you'll still end up in a lake because the maps haven't been updated. You start by typing in where we're going. That is your intentionality piece. How are we talking to people? What is the plan here? And we're going to talk about this more, but like when I write my emails, I write them a quarter at a time, sometimes more. And to do that, I have to look at the whole picture. I'm not looking at week by week, day by day. I start with the whole picture. What do I want 2024 to look like? Like many of you said, you want to scale this year. You want to take it to the next level. That's your vision. How do you get there? Through emails, through marketing, through connecting with the right people. So we've got our North Star. We got to reverse engineer it down to those daily tasks, down to those daily or weekly emails. The T, testimonials and social proof. This is huge. If you put testimonials, you sprinkle testimonials into your emails, you share social proof, like this person was here, then they worked with me, they went on this amazing trip, now they are here. It allows people to put themselves in that person's shoes, to be like, oh, Anne was here and she went on this amazing trip and it changed her life. I want to be Anne. How do I be Anne? Oh, I just have to go on this trip. Done. Sold. Take me, please, now. So focus on the transformation. And here's a piece that I haven't really said, but this is super important. So you probably should write this down. It's not about you. I would love to say it's about you. It's about them. So when you write, whatever you're writing, you make it about them. How you help them. What's in it for them. Because people may love you, They want to know what's in it for them. And so everything that you do has to have the spin of, how do I help you? You want this because ... This is going to help you because you should go on this trip because it's going to alleviate stress and be the best thing that you ever did and make memories with your kids that they'll talk about when they're adults. So make it about them and the transformations and what they're going to get and or achieve out of the entire thing. So that is WRIT. And E, my very favorite part, is we're exceeding expectations, we're putting a bow on it, and we're creating an experience. If you create an experience, you automatically make it so that people remember you, they want to work with you again, and they want to tell their friends about this amazing thing. So, and they'll talk about it for years. Here's my little quote and story about this. So when I was in college, my husband drove up to where I was in college. We went to a Pizza Hut, a dinky little Pizza Hut. There were like 2 people in the store. And it's something that we've talked about now for 20 years, because as we're there, the lady sits down, she takes our orders, she's totally fun. She's talking to us, she pulls up a chair, she's eating pizza with us. We had a blast. And she was like, you guys have to promise to come back. It's like, you're my new best friends. And I can't even tell you what we talked about in the when we had pizza. I can't tell you anything other than I was in college and we still talk about Pizza Hut. So how can you make it an experience? How can you make your emails an experience where people are excited to open them? Ooh, I want to know what Ray's got to say today because I know her stuff's fire. Right. That's what we want. And we love our people, but don't over deliver. We're putting a bow on it. We're not wrapping the thing in 6 things of wrapping paper. Okay. You're finding the way to create that experience, and you're exceeding expectations a little bit. We're not being crazy. We're not going crazy here. So think about a time, and you're welcome to share, that someone created that experience for you. And what did it look like? And how do we do it for our audiences?
I think that's so tricky, Kelly, because I can think of like things in person that creates experiences, but I can't think of somebody who's like create an experience for me in email. Like, so that to me is very tricky, you know, like, and maybe it's just because I delete 95% of my emails, but
I mean, people do, but what the 5% that you don't, think about why. I mean, it could be that they're family or whatever, but if you start writing like it's your best friend, people will very likely start opening them, and you become part of that 5%.
right.
And yeah, you're right. It's so much easier to do in person because we have body language, we have context, and this is why I love emails, because it's like, how do you create those things with words? And ultimately, my personal belief is we create them through our storytelling, in the details, in the things that we're willing to share. And here's the other thing that I personally have found, my other little story that I'll share with you. Last summer, when I realized I was pregnant, well, I had realized before that, but last summer I had to have a little come to Jesus meeting, because I was like, baby's born in October. What? Kelly has no plan. Okay, we should have a plan. I can't handle this. And so my other thought was, Kelly's an email marketer and her email list is really sad. I should probably start practicing what I preach. Like, that gives me an opportunity to test new things and try new things. And so what I did was I sat down with a Google Doc and a piece of paper and was like, what do I want my monthly theme to be? If I start right now, it's July, it's June. What does July through December look like? What do I want my theme each day to be? What do I want my theme each day to be? And, or not each day, but each month. What is my monthly theme? What is my monthly theme? And from my monthly theme, what do I want my offer every month to be? Cool. I have my monthly theme now. From that theme, can I think of 4 subjects? 4 things I want to share with my best friend. There's my 4 emails for my weekly emails. From that, where am I going to make an offer? Where am I going to ask? And the other thing of it is, besides that ask, where am I going to, like, when am I asking people to buy an offer? When am I telling them to go to my Facebook or Instagram? When am I just telling them, here's my story. Hey, reply back and tell me what you think. Because those are all your calls to action. And every single email, one subject, one thing that you're putting in there, one call to action, the one thing that you want them to do from that email. And what does that look like? And once you do, you have the bare sketching, the outline of each email. And it becomes a lot easier to write. Okay, so like we said, if you can remember right, our words that connect, building relationships, we're being intentional, we're including testimonials and social proof, and we're exceeding expectations, and we're creating experiences. That's what we're doing. And it's so fun. I love it. It's so fun. If you're doing these things with any copy that you're using and putting out there, they're going to start converting. You're going to have people come to you and say, I've been watching your stuff for a while. You're my person. I've never commented on anything that you've put on social media, but I've been following you and stalking you for 2 years. And now's the right time. Same with your emails. You may have people that open your email for months, and then one day they buy your biggest offer or your biggest package or whatever that looks like. Because they're finally ready. And just because they're silent online or silent in the emails does not mean that they're not watching. Because they usually are. So that's our overall framework. So let's talk about that first email. We've got our lead magnets. We're ready to put our first email. I can get you the 2 templates. It's super easy. But the purpose of the first email is 2 things. I know I said one thing per email. This one's different. Is we're going to welcome people and give them the lead magnet. That's it. Oh, yay, balloons. We're going to welcome people and say, here's the thing that I promised you. This was the very first welcome sequence I ever wrote for myself. And I didn't quite finish my story, but I will say when I sat down and I had my themes and my subject line, I was able to write 6 months worth of emails in 2.5 days. So once you get out of your head, it will come, especially if you have a person in mind that you're writing to. This was my very first email. And so it was basically, here's who I am. What about you? Tell me what your mission is. Tell me what your vision is. Hit reply. I promise you I will answer my emails. So if you send me an email, know that I'm the one that's actually going to answer. Oh, and by the way, so excited you're here. And here's the lead magnet that I promised you. So there's 3 parts to the first email. We welcome people. We identify the problem and the transformation that we want them to have while they're on our list. And then we deliver the lead magnet that is actionable. Here's the second half of that email.
Can I ask you a question, Kelly? So if we already have an email list, how are we delivering the same emails to that list, or is this like for new people who are responding to our lead magnets?
So this really section that we're kind of talking about is the welcome sequence. It's for people coming in.
Okay.
So what I talked about, thinking about your themes and your offers, that's really more of your nurturing, where you're going over at, those are people who've been on your list for a while. So
Okay.
you're kind of thinking more in terms of like, I'm here to support you. How do I support you? What is the theme? What are we going to talk about every month? So maybe this month we talk about, traveling with kids, or maybe next month we're talking about like the top 10 places you should go, or the top 4 places you should go now that you're retired. Like, so things that you think that they will enjoy as you're working through your themes. And like I always do it, I always tell people you're writing for them. I also include things that I enjoy in my emails to make it entertaining for me. So like most of my emails have a GIF in them, or some sort of, or I'll say something like, can you believe it? And there'll be like a picture of like, just because it's fun. And that's the people I want to attract, or the people who are not like crazy serious about life. I can't handle that. That's just, I have 4 children, and we just know that life can only be so serious with 4 children and 2 dogs and a husband. So this is what the actual template looks like. All of my templates are very much like this. They're kind of like Mad Libs. So there's an objective. What's the point? We want to welcome people and give them the thing. Our subject line could be something like, welcome to the tribe. Glad you're in the community. Glad you're here, like whatever. And then I always put underneath that, your guide is inside, because you want them to know. And typically the first email, because you're delivering this, has a very high open rate because they want the thing. And then your body's going to be, hey, first name, depending on how you're setting it up, you can actually personalize that so that it personalizes it to them. I recommend you do that because when we see our name, we phase back in, we start paying attention, and we're back in the game. So we want to know what's actually said there. So thank you for signing up for, and whatever you're calling your freebie. I know that you'll get a ton of value out of this, or here's how why I made it, top 3 reasons. And I've made this to help you so that you can, what do you want them to do? So that you can know when the best travel times are, or so that you can be ready to travel. You know, when your money's ready, we've got you covered where you want to go. And then I should probably introduce myself. Who are you? Why are they on your list? Tell them your name, your I help or I can statement or whatever that looks like. And then why? Again, you're going back to the transformation. We're helping them break free of the monotony of life and the 9 to 5. We're helping them whatever, so that you can, what are the top 3 reasons that they want to travel? What are the top 3 reasons that they want to work with you? And then describe what life looks like. And then I always end it with, I think there's more to this. That is not the full email, but the second part says, we're confident that you're going to love it here in our space. I'm setting expectations at this point. Why are they going to love it? Where are you going to give them tips and tricks? What can they expect from this email? Take a minute and add us to your contact list. That's super important, especially since Yahoo and Gmail and other CRMs just recently, like 1st of February, tightened all of the restrictions. So if they're not in your list, there are ways that now that you're going to automatically get kicked to spam if you don't do certain things. So things to know as you're moving forward and growing. And then say, I'll check back with you in a couple of days. But in the meantime, hit reply. Tell me what's the biggest thing you're working on right now. Hit reply. What's your biggest struggle? Talk more soon. I end my emails with your cheerleader. Your cheerleader, Kelly. Talk soon. And then in the very first email and some of the subsequent ones, you might want to drop your Instagram link, your LinkedIn link, your, website link, all of those things, because right now they're a warm lead. They want to know more about you. Give them ways to find out more about you so they can go and stalk you and have fun and basically be like, am I on the list? Like, should I be on the list? Is she a good person? Is she not a good person? Or could we be friends? Could we be besties? That's kind of what you're doing here, is you're setting those expectations. Your second email, it's going to follow up a day to 2 days later, and it's another opportunity, if you can, to give them another quick win. But it's a great time to follow up. Hey, how did you like my amazing freebie or my amazing lead magnet? Was it fantastic? Were you able to see success, or is it now in the graveyard of your desktop and will never see the light of day? Like, tell me, did you love it? Did you hate it? Like, hit reply and let me know what you think. Super easy. And then, like you said, you have an option. If you don't want to finish out your welcome sequence, you can start nurturing, or you can have it so that you have 5 to 8 emails as a welcome, maybe with an introductory offer if you want to give them that, and then they go on your list to be nurtured, or segmented to be nurtured specifically based on the segmentation. So like I said, we talked about the overall how we create copy that converts. Now let's talk about plots. I love acronyms because it's super easy to remember. How we write, good stories have a good plot. Some of them have multiple plots. So plot was my word. First one's plan. Like we just talked about. What are my themes? What do we need to plan? What are the themes? What are the offers? What are the subject lines? And I usually start a good old pen and paper or a blank Google Doc. It's kind of like a brain dump. Get it out, then we can organize it and start to do something with it. So we're planning. Number 2, my favorite, your L. Oh, this is not in the right place. Fine. Got stuff turned around. My apologies. L. L is leveraging storytelling. because we're humans. Before the written word, for literally 5 to 10,000 years before, stories were how humans told our history. So it actually is more ingrained in us than writing. So leverage the stories. Facts tell, stories sell. People love features, but they really want to know how it's going to benefit them. I mean, I'm going to kind of date myself, but back in the day we had iPods, and Apple figured out really fast where you could talk about like, oh, look, there's 2 gig on this and, you know, a great battery and whatever. But what they figured out was instead of telling us the features of it, you could say 2 gig, but that actually translates to 10,000 songs. We got a battery that's great. It'll stay charged for 4 days. Now I care. Because when you're throwing statistics at me, it's like, cool, that doesn't apply to me. But if you say, here, look, it benefits you because your entire library of songs can be on this little device. Okay, cool. Shut up and take my money. Like, this is where we are. And people want stories of success, stories that worked. And also going back to when I started writing my emails last summer, they love it when you mess up. So you can even write stories of the times that you like had a bad day or what you learned. I love to, in my list, I include a lot of like business lessons I've learned from my children. And when I first started putting out and figuring out how my CRM worked, I literally sent an email in July that was supposed to go out at the end of August. And I immediately turned around and sent another email that said, just so you know, in August, you're going to think, deja vu, have I seen this email before? And the answer is yes, because it's not supposed, you were not supposed to see it. So you can delete it, forget you saw it, but just know you're going to see it again. It's going to happen. My mistake, I'm learning the system. And I had people email me back and be like, that's hilarious. We love it. Because it makes you human. People sometimes look at you and they're like, oh, you're so much further along in business, or you're unattainable. And when you make mistakes and you share that, suddenly you're the coolest person ever because, oh, she is human. Awesome. So that's our P and our L. So we're planning, we're leveraging stories, we're looking for opportunities. How often are you asking for a sale? This is what we talked about. Like, share the stories, share the tips and tricks and stuff. You can even partner with other places and do joint ventures where you share an opportunity that you think your audience would love. And if they buy it, you can get like 10 to 15% of every sale if you do it correctly. So it's a really great way to create some passive income where you're just borrowing, you're letting someone borrow your list that you think is in alignment with what your people need, and you're getting a kickback. And how are you using opportunities, and how are you offering opportunities to others? So these are definitely things when you're writing, you know, is there an opportunity for your people to respond to you? Is there an opportunity for joint venture? You're just looking for different ways that you can connect. And if I have a list and all of my friends have lists and I borrow their list and say, here's my offer, it's a really easy way to build those relationships, especially if I'm doing it and it's in alignment with my core values and my mission and my vision to create as much impact as possible. So something to think about. And then T, when we're writing, we are tweaking. It's never a one and done opportunity. You're going to always be innovating, trying new things. Maybe one email your people really love and they open it and it's great. And the next email, there's crickets. Why? Also, don't wait until things are broken to try to fix them. You should always be looking at the data, which we'll talk about in a second, but like, you can split test. You can create an email and copy it and change the subject name. Which one's connecting better with your audience? You can do the same thing, same subject, 2 different bodies of emails. Which one's connecting better? Which one's got a better open rate? Which one's getting more sales? Which one's getting a better click-through rate? And so we're looking and tweaking things to make them better. And I put this quote from Walt Disney because I absolutely love it. It says, around here, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and trying new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. And that's what you're doing. You're trying new things to see what works. And then the S for plots is studying the data. Like I said, don't wait until it's broken. Ideally, our sales. Are we making sales? Our open rate. Are people paying attention? Are they clicking through our emails to the offer? Are they just opening it? Don't wait to study the data. I know way too many people in this space and in the entrepreneurial space that are like, I never look at things as long as the sales are good. The minute the sales go, I want to know why. Don't do that. Don't be that person, because you can't grow if you're like, it's working. I'm not going to break it. I can't scale because I don't know what's working, but it's all good. So things to think about. And I hope you guys have found that super helpful. You guys have any thoughts, questions so far? Okay, I'll keep going. We're almost done, guys, I promise. Talked a lot. Okay, secrets to writing a welcome sequence. When should you send the emails? This is by far the question I get the most. So you'll see that each email listed on the left, what's the purpose? Email number 1, we're delivering the freebie. We want to send that within 30 minutes after their opt-in. You do, because we want instant gratification. We are a people that need it now, and we want it now, and we want to be able to experience a win. Number 2, a value add email so they can experience that win. Ask them, did you try it? Tell me how it went. You send this 1 to 2 days after. That's kind of the rule of thumb, is usually within a couple of days if you're sending a sequence like this. I send my weekly emails, and then if I'm doing an offer, sometimes I'll send it a little bit more often, especially something like a welcome sequence when they're still warm, or even like an offer because I have a sale or something that I'm putting out. So email number 3, who are we? What are our values? What's the perspectives? What is our motivation? Tell them your story. Give them takeaways. Email number 4. This one's always fun. You can surprise them with another freebie if you want, but give them something unexpected. This becomes Ratatouille. Be unexpected. Don't be crazy, but a little unexpected is good. It's surprising. It's fun. Email number 5, you start to talk to them and basically say, hey, I know you have a problem. Tell me about your problem. Is this you? And then you use words that other people have given you so that they can self-identify and say, you know what? I know somebody who does that. It's me. I know somebody who can help you be the next iteration of you, or to get you on that trip, or that can help you make emails that convert. The call to action, work with me, book a call, let's talk. I love people, especially since I don't get to talk to adults very often with all the children. And then email number 6, we're asking for feedback. We're literally saying, hey, glad you're on this list. We're glad you're here. Just so you know, if you have anything you'd like to share, I'd love to hear it. And from now on, expect you'll be hearing from me once a month, once a week, whatever that looks like. You're kind of resetting those expectations. So the next step, using your market research, if you haven't done that, we're tweaking or creating our lead magnet. And then we're going to use the right. We're going to outline our welcome sequence, our ideas with that in mind. And then we're going to write the emails. Plot. We're going to plan them. We're going to leverage our storytelling. We're going to look for opportunities. It's actually plots. There should be an S there. We're going to tweak it. And then we're going to study the data. And then we're going to put it in our CRM and let it fly. And then we're going to study that data quarterly, especially if it's a welcome sequence or something that we use all the time. Once every 3 months is plenty of time to say what's working, what's not working. How do we make it better? So one last thought. What are you going to do with what you learned today? Is it just good stuff to know? Is this going to die too when we're done here and live on your desktop? No judgment. It's fine. But imagine what would happen if you put some time and effort into this. Now that you have a list that's primed for your offers. What if one sale today would make back the investment? So if you have, and I tell people this a lot because money is always one of those things that people are weird about. Like if I said it was, and it's not, but like, let's say I said it was $5,000 for you to get emails. But your offer is $997. You'd have to sell 5. So if you put it in terms like that, it becomes a lot less scary, especially if you know it's going to be something that converts and something that is going to be super helpful for you. So you kind of have to rewire the way, at least the way I was brought up, because my parents, threw about $400 over a tree. So that's just kind of the world I grew up in. So you have two choices. You can start collecting your emails. You can wait for the right time to start your email marketing, or you can take some messy action and you can get some help with your emails. So the offer that I have for you guys is a super special offer. It's one-on-one call with me. You actually get my welcome sequence templates, and you get 30 days of Voxer access in our community so that you can bounce ideas off of other people, and it's $97. So for the first 3 people that do it, you also get an extra call with me that's a strategy call where we'll come up with your 3 months of action steps. You get 3 action steps a month. Like, what are the top 3 things we need to be doing to move our business forward? So that's what we are doing. So what are people saying? I had to put the testimonials in, guys. Like I told you to do it. So I was like, I should do that. So people I've worked with, this was my friend Emily. This is actually the only picture you should have seen twice. And we did a sales page, and basically she said the entire process was easy and fun. Although I will say it's best to have your content ready beforehand, because you don't want to be like me and scrambling to do it the day before. Extremely happy with the services, because my goal is not to make a ton of sales. My goal is to create impact. That's the whole point. And then I had my friend Sydney, who I did her emails, and basically what I did was I helped her with promotional emails for a big, huge launch that she had coming up. And it was so nice to have emails that people opened and read. So those, I had to put them in, like I said, guys, social proof. There's your social proof. And then, like I said, here's the offer for you guys. It's $97. So it's super easy. And the great thing about the templates is you can use them over and over again. So if you're interested, let me know. I'd love to help you. I love people. That's just where we are. Love for you to connect with me. You can send me an email at Kelly Harris Creative. On Facebook, you can follow me, Kelly Harris Copywriter, or Instagram, Kelly Harris Creative. So I will stop the share, and I'm good for questions. If you guys have questions, would love to know what you're thinking and how I can help.
I have a question. Whenever you're putting out like your lead magnets and getting all the information in, you said to give them the whatever the magnet is within an hour or less. Is there a platform that you use to be able to almost send that out like automatically when you get the email? I've just started, and I did one last month and it was pretty successful, but I was sending out all the emails when I got to it, and that was obviously later than an hour. So I would like to have it a little bit more automated, because that was a lot of work.
Right. So the easiest platform if you're just starting out is MailerLite, because it's free to start out until I think you get like 100 contacts. I actually, I have clients that use ActiveCampaign. I actually use ConvertKit. And the reason is you have to start by thinking of it as pieces, almost like a recipe. When I create my lead magnet, I put it on Google, and then I make sure that that's a shareable link. So I'll put it on my Google Drive. And then as I'm creating that email, I go in and I automate it so that it goes out automatically. So that as soon as people have that, there's a wait time on there's what they call triggers, which basically is you're telling it what to do. And so you can wait time it 20 minutes, a day, whatever. And then you can go in and set it up for like, here's the email I want to go out. Make sure that the link is in the email. A lot of times I'll make it a button, because people will be like, I didn't see it. I'm like, you literally had to click on the thing that was a lit. Okay, like we'll make it bigger. So you make it a button so that they're like, get your freebie here, or like whatever. And then, yeah, I automate out the entire welcome sequence. And the reason is because then you can go back and look at the data quarterly, and you're not having to say, oh, wait, crap, did I send that email? Like, oh man, I don't know. Because as your email list grows, you want to be able to set as much of that in the background to set it and go, and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, did I send the thing? And the other reason we check it quarterly is we want to make sure that no links are broken. So if you're sending them to your Facebook group or a one-to-one call or whatever that is, and you've changed something, you want to make sure that it still works, that people can still connect with you, that they're still receiving the freebie. Because you don't know until somebody tells you, like, I didn't get the thing.
Does ConvertKit have a landing page as well, Kelly?
It does. It's not beautiful, but I do use it.
Okay.
So I just dropped into the chat the special offer for you guys, plus my Instagram handle. And if you want, I can also go in, it'll take me a minute to have to pull it up, but you're more than welcome to jump on my email list. Like I said, it's not beautiful because there are certain things that they say to do, one of which being make sure that you're optimizing your emails and your landing pages for mobile, because about 86% of what we're looking at is on a phone. And so if it's ugly on a phone, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is on a computer. Most people are not going to take the time to sit down on their computer and pull it up to see. If it's an email, they'll delete it outright on their phones if it's ugly. But one of the things, and it's a term that you'll probably start to hear as you get a little bit more into this, but it's called above the fold. And what it means is, ideally, you want people to be able to grab your email, like put their information in and their name and you want to have at least the name field. So their name and their email when they first open up, like when the thing loads, because the fold is what they see on the screen before they ever have to scroll. So you want it up there really high, really pretty there, because you've got to make it easy. We live in a world where there's too much messaging, too much go, go, go. And the expectation is that we're always moving. So we have to make it as easy as possible for our guys to get their stuff.
So essentially you would put up, and just so I understand, you would put up the lead magnet on Insta, hey, come get this lead magnet, whatever it is. And then you're sending them to a landing page. On that landing page, they're putting their name and their email. And then that landing page is on constant contact or whatever you said. And that's going to automate these emails.
You have to go in and set up that automation, but yes,
Right.
you can set it up so that once they enter that stuff, it's all done. You don't have to sit there and be like, did I send out email number 1? Okay, I sent out email 1 at this time. I got to send out email number 2 by this time. Like, you can set it all up. And the way the triggers work is you can literally go in and say, like, did we on a time delay? Or maybe if they take this action, then this is the email that they send. If they go and don't actually buy, then this is the email. Like, you can get really, really complicated very fast, depending on how in depth you want and how much automation you want to just like dive into.
So for somebody, the one you said that has that's 100 contacts or something for free, does that have a landing page as well?
It does have a landing page as well. I haven't used it in a while because that's where I started with mine, but I know that I think I ended up having to buy the base package to be able to set up the automations.
Okay.
So that's just something to be aware of. Like, do a little bit of research to what you want, because most of them, like Constant Contact, I'm pretty sure has landing pages. I know ConvertKit you can do. They're not beautiful. I don't actually love them. A lot of times I send people through Thrivecart and set it up a different way. But I know you can set up the automations and stuff through all of that. It's just some of them.
Yeah, and there's no reason that you can't, like, once people finish your welcome sequence, that you guys can take them and put them into tests and then send your normal newsletters through tests, so that you're not paying to keep those contacts in there forever. Like, I know when I had, I had Active Campaign for a while, and, like, once I would get a bridal list that was, 5,000 people, right? And, you're paying a lot of money for that. So once they went through my sequence, I moved them over to my CRM because my CRM is free. So.
Right. And knowing that, and see, what I would say to that is put it on your calendar. So like once a month, do we need to convert or what does it call it? Migrate anybody that needs to be from one CRM to another, essentially, is what you're doing.
Right.
And is there a monthly fee for the Constant Contactor?
Constant Contact has a monthly fee. So does I will say, like, ConvertKit, I pay $108 for the year.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a huge email list currently, but like I was comfortable enough saying this is a good place to start. And as my email list grows and my business grows, I will give you more money. Like, or I will try something else. Like, we'll figure that out when we get to that. But right now, like, we'll play in here and learn how to do this. And I actually was able to go in and say, like, here are my emails. Like, after I wrote them, I sat down and I put all of my emails in June till the end of December of last year, and had them scheduled to go out. So then I didn't have to think about it. It was just done.
Yeah.
So I hope you found this helpful. It's a lot, I know.
Anybody else have any other questions? Does anybody feel like they can tackle this now a little bit more? Hopefully.
How long is your special good for?
Well, we start March 1st, so it's good until the end. So let's say February 29th. And like I said, for you guys, it is very, very deeply discounted. Just to be honest, like I typically sell a sequence at $24.97. So as in like thousands. But with the templates, what I want to be able to do is empower you guys to be able to do this yourself. And so the templates are great because it gets you started where, and I'll be very honest, I actually, even though I sell the templates, I use the templates when I work with my clients. I use the templates when I write my own stuff because it gives me a place to start. So I'm not like looking at this white screen on Google Doc when it like blinks and you feel like it's mocking you. Yeah, no, I have to have something to start with. And so, and the whole point of the community is that we can bounce ideas off of each other so that you guys can say like, hey guys, I'm stuck, or what do you think is a great, here's what I'm doing. And what do you think is a great call to action here? And so I'll be in there too, be saying like, cool, I love what you're doing. Or, hey, drop the Google link here so I can just look at it and give you some feedback.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, one of the things Kelly and I had talked about is that a lot of our agents have said that their downfall is that follow through, right? It's really great and but that follow through. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to have Kelly to themselves for a little bit. Because that's not, you know, my specialty at all. So Kelly was very generous and she was like, what do you think about this price point? I was like, what do you think about this price?
Yeah.
So thanks, Kelly, for
Don't worry. Well, and that's the thing is my goal at the end of the day is try to, I want to build a business that creates impact. And so, also I used to be a kindergarten teacher, so I want to help people like that. And that is the other like caveat there. But as we grow, like it's not something I'm going to be able to offer as much as the business starts to take off. And so it's like, where can I help people now and meet them where they're at now? And also give you an opportunity, you know, if we have our one-on-one call and you're like, I have no idea what to do. Cool. Let's plan out your themes. Let's plan out your calls to action and what your offer is, because then you can go back into Voxer and say, hey, I did this. Here's the Google Doc. What do you think?
Okay.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, ideas?
Lots of ideas.
Yay. Well, so we have a co-working session set for, I believe, next Friday. There's a small chance I'm gonna have to change that because I just got a call from our rep about meeting next week, but we'll see that what happens. But as of, I'm sorry, Thursday, next Thursday from 12 to 2, we have a co-working session. So if you guys want to come and you want to talk about it, I'll be there, and anybody that wants to talk about it and bounce ideas off each other, we're here.
Well, thank you guys for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kelly. Appreciate it. And thank you everyone for taking your time today.
Thank you, guys.